My name is Linda Ford. I'm an assistant district attorney in New York County, and I am the deputy director of our legal training unit. What is required to satisfy our due diligence obligations in the prosecution of a homicide case? When we have essentially an infinite volume of potential evidence on every case, how do we allocate our resources to make sure that we are meeting our legal and ethical obligations? That is the question that I am going to attempt to address. Especially on homicide cases, we receive evidence from so many different sources. Witnesses may include civilian, police, medical, forensic experts. Physical evidence may be recovered from the crime scene, from vehicles, homes, from people. Digital evidence, this is where we are seeing the greatest increase in volume, with video surveillance, body-worn camera, electronic devices, social media, and so much more. As the prosecutor, we need to be fully conversant with the entire body of evidence, making charging decisions, complying with discovery obligations, making legal arguments, engaging in plea negotiations, preparing for trial, making sentencing recommendations. So many important decisions, and the prosecutor cannot be effective without a full understanding of the body of evidence in the case. We need to know what we have, what we don't have, what additional evidence we need to gather, and how to get it. The prosecutor must understand the significance of the evidence as well as its limitations. I am going to highlight a few examples from the homicide context, beginning with the initial investigation. Now, every jurisdiction is different, but generally it is more likely that the prosecutor is involved early in a homicide investigation. At this stage, the prosecutor may coordinate between agencies, respond to inquiries from the media or the community, and initiate contact with the family members of the homicide victim. Prosecutors can also help to formulate the investigative plan and guard against confirmation bias by communicating with the investigative team to ensure that all potential leads are explored. Prosecutor must fully understand the crime scene evidence. What was seized? How was it preserved? What forensic testing has been requested? What are the results of the testing? What is the significance of the evidence? If the prosecutor is involved, early in the case where there's a fresh crime scene, the prosecutor can have a role in communicating between different agencies and what is available. Except in very unusual circumstances, there will be an autopsy conducted to determine the cause and manner of death, and much more. If there was a weapon recovered, is it consistent with the victim's injuries? If no weapon was recovered, what can we learn from the injuries about the type of weapon that was used? Tattoos may provide information about motive or associates of the deceased. Evidence of drug use, prior injuries, or health conditions may also be relevant or provide investigatory leads. Speaking to the medical personnel who treated or transported the homicide victim to the hospital can provide additional evidence. This is especially true if EMTs arrived at the scene before the police. Was the victim conscious? Were there any statements made that could potentially be admitted as evidence at trial, such as dying declarations or excited utterances? Who else was present? Was any physical evidence moved or damaged during medical treatment? Digital evidence can provide investigatory leads and help determine the reliability of witness statements. In cases where witnesses are uncooperative, digital evidence may provide persuasive trial evidence in the absence of witness testimony. The prosecutor must gather, organize, analyze, and understand all the digital evidence using appropriate processes. As the evidence is analyzed, it may generate further leads and additional requests for information. This is an ongoing process that cannot wait until the eve of trial. As the volume of evidence grows, so does the discovery obligation. We must fully comply with all relevant statutes, case law, and constitutional requirements But that is just the starting point. Beyond basic compliance, we need to ensure that we are seeking appropriate protective orders. And this brings us back to my main theme, that we need to know our evidence. There must be adequate resources dedicated to the review of all evidence, but especially digital evidence, to make sure that we are being fully compliant with our discovery obligations. Also, to make sure that we are not disclosing information that should be protected. As we organize and analyze the body of evidence, it is useful to review relevant statutes or standard jury instructions as a reminder of the elements of the crime. We should also anticipate potential defenses and closely examine how the evidence may support or refute those defenses, always keeping in mind our Brady obligations. As with any other case, the prosecutor must prepare witnesses for trial testimony, including cross-examination. Digital evidence can help identify potential witnesses, who are then located and interviewed. Additional digital evidence can be gathered based upon what was learned from the witness. The results of those requests can be used to help prepare the witness for trial testimony and corroborate their testimony. Knowing the body of evidence can help resolve any inconsistencies in advance. Creating persuasive trial exhibits will help the jury determine the credibility and reliability of the witnesses. Here's an example. In this video clip, you'll see an individual walking down the sidewalk who appears to be talking on the phone. We obtained cell phone records of the individual we believed it to be and synchronized them to the video surveillance clip. Showing the two calls that correlate to the video provided powerful corroboration of the identification, and this exhibit supported the prosecutor's arguments in summation regarding that identification. Prosecutors must stay abreast of recent developments in the law. There needs to be a formal mechanism for continuing education, whether it's internal training, periodic updates, bar associations, or organizations like the Prosecutors Center for Excellence. The prosecutor should always strive to be the best lawyer in the courtroom, because if we get it right, then justice will be served. I hope this was helpful in answering the question, what is a prosecutor's due diligence obligation on homicide cases? I'd like to thank Chris Hammond, Sophia Roach, the Prosecutors Center for Excellence National Best Practices Committee for giving me the opportunity to work on this project. Thank you.